guy. His name was Bob Shireman. Bob Shireman was a senior person at the Clinton White House handling education, and he was running a nonprofit organization out of San Francisco for many years. Nice guy. I just sort of gotten to know him. I know a lot of other people in the industry. And when Obama came in and hired Bob Shireman to be Undersecretary of Education. And I called him up. A couple of things happened when Obama administration changed. For years, I had been contacting the U.S. Justice Department. There's one guy who is responsible for enforcing consumer protection at the U.S. Justice Department. And he was obnoxious to me, and I was obnoxious back, and I was sending him documents for since 2000, and still do to this day. Anyway, so Bob Shireman was brought in January 2009, and as part of the transition team, and I called him up and I said, Bob, look, there is a lot more going on here that you don't know about. I know you're going to go right for incentive compensation and all that, but I've got a lot of other stuff that you really need to know about. So I said, can I come see you? And he said, yes, you're welcome to come see me. And I said, okay. And so I wrote a letter to the new Secretary of Education, the new incoming Commissioner for the Securities and Exchange Commission, and I basically said, there's a nuclear bomb on your desk and it's called for-profit education. Would you like me to come tell you about it? and so, kind of direct. Anyway, so 3 weeks later, I get this call from this woman, senior enforcement attorney, U.S. Department of the SEC, and she said, what's going on? And so I said, let me send you my research reports, you can read them for free. Everybody pays for them, but not you. And so I said, can I come visit you? And she said, sure, come on over. And then I called the Department of Justice, and the guy who was so obnoxious to me for so many years suddenly became a switch hitter, and he was like, sure, come on over, come see me, let me see all your documents. And then I reached out to Congress, which is just a different level of irritation, but I got somebody who would actually meet with me, and so in one day, I went to SEC, the U.S. Department of Justice. I told him I was going to the Department of Education. He said, I'm coming. Okay, so we share a taxi ride over to the Department of Education. I meet with the Undersecretary of Education and some unidentified woman who I think was Inspector General's office. Because she said after me, I thought we took care of all these companies 5 years ago. I said, no, actually, it's got a little worse than what you're aware of. So in one fell swoop, Bob Shireman basically said, sorry, we're not going to do that anymore. Incentive compensation is banned. We're going to enforce it correctly, even though it's already been on the books. It's been unenforced for the last 5 years, since the Bureau Learning Center, or 7 years. And within days, the whole group started to trade down hard. And the analysts on Wall Street, most of them got it, but a couple of them didn't. But there were enough hedge funds around that they were like, put on the stock, put on as much short position as we can. Because the short seller, if they can sell short the stock at 90, and then the stock goes down back to, well, let's call it whatever it really is. It's about 16 2 years ago, and it's about 25 right now. ITT Education at the time, by the way, was $135 a share. Oops, dollar sign. Is now 4. And Corinthian College CO was 30. Chapter 11, 0. EDMC, which was founded by the former CEO of Apollo Group, they left. They took other employees with them. They mushroomed the whole industry. As soon as everybody figured out the loophole, they were just turning over employees and starting over new companies. So EDMC came public at 25. I recommend it as 30, a short at 30, and they're also in chapter 11. So clearly the industry fell really hard, and when you disrupt the industry, an industry like that in such a way where the sales growth is coming apart at the seams, suddenly you have too many teachers, you have too many selling general administrative expenses, you have too many enrollment counselors, and everybody's shedding bodies left and right, trying to pretend like they have actual real earnings. And so the concept that I had from you know, the director of academic affairs, who said, you know, he told me that, you know, I was kind of hung up on this whole thing of late refunds and keeping students enrolled against their will or without their knowledge. And the government said, well, we found 30% of 90 files had incorrect dates for leaving the school. And I went back to that investigator, and I have kind of a spy. I became really, really good friends with one of the investigators at the department. She likes to fight City Hall like I do, so we join up, and they hate her, and the industry hates her, and she's about to retire for something like that. But anyway, so I said to her, if you found a 30% error rate in 90 files, and there's 350,000 students, why didn't you go back? Because the company was charged a fine based upon the 30 files that were incorrect. So it was just like $10,000 or something. And I said, if you're doing a sampling size statistical analysis or whatever, if you find above a certain rate, it used to be a 10% error rate, then you have to go back and look at the 356,000. Obviously, you do all those numbers and you got 100,000 errors, you know, that are errors. And potentially complete errors. And she said, we're not allowed to do it that way, and I'm not allowed to ask if I could do it that way. And they prevented me from doing it that way, and all that is still ongoing, and unfortunately the public just doesn't have the ability to have the knowledge to know this stuff. But I had to know it because I had to know it from my clients, because they would ask me, you know, like, well, you know, what's going to happen here? And so I try to detail that as much as I can. I mean, I literally have over 1 million pages of documents, and squeezing that down to 305 pages was painful. Anyway,